Hello everybody, welcome back to the Supreme Court Decision Timeline, Episode 3. Today we're going to be going through the years of 1830 all the way up to 1850. Excuse me. Here's the current Supreme Court as of the last episode. It is a 7-2 liberal court, so the Democratic Republicans have a huge advantage at the moment. In 1830, President Andrew I would pass the Indian Removal Act, which would lead to the the Trail of Tears. 1831, nothing noteworthy. 1832, the Black Hawk War begins. President Andrew I vetoes a bill that would have rechartered the Second Bank of the United States. There's a lot less backlash because the president has a lot more power this time around. So does the vice president. But the Black Hawk War ends shortly after it begins. There's also a cholera pandemic, and President Andrew I passes the Ordinance of Nullification. In the 1832 vice presidential election, where Democrat Vice President John C. Calhoun defeats National Republican Senator Senator Henry Clay, anti-Masonic Attorney General William Wirt, and nullifier Governor John Floyd, 216 to 54 to 11 to 7 to win re-election. 1833, President Andrew I signs the Force Bill. 1834, Associate Justice William Johnson passes away. Philip Pendleton Barber is appointed to the Supreme Court by the House, as well as President Andrew I organizing the Office of Indian Affairs. 1835, Associate Justice John Marshall would pass away, and John Carton would be appointed to the Supreme Court by the House of Representatives. President Andrew I would pay off the entirety of the national debt, which would be a monumental moment. The Second Seminole War would begin, and the Treaty of Echeta would be signed. 1836, Associate Justice John Hugh Thomas passes away, and John McKinley would be appointed to the Supreme Court to replace him by the House of Representatives. The 1836 vice presidential election, Democrat Governor Martin Van Buren would defeat Whig Senator William Harrison, 170 to 124, to become the 8th vice president. 1837, there would be the Panic of 1837, in which President Andrew I's popularity would drop tremendously, as well as Vice President Martin Van Buren. 1838, the Cherokee removal begins, as we've stated in the beginning of this video. 1839, there's nothing too noteworthy to mention. 1840, a rematch from 4 years prior, Whig Senator William Harrison would defeat Democrat Vice President Martin Van Buren, 234 to 60 to become the 9th Vice President. 1841, Associate Justice Philip Pendleton Barber would pass away, and James Dandridge Halliburton would be appointed to the Supreme Court by the House of Representatives. Vice President William Harrison passes away, meaning Secretary of State Robert Rental Jr. would become the 10th Vice President. 1842, there's the Dorr Rebellion. President Andrew I would sign the Armed Occupation Act. The Webster-Ashburton Treaty would be signed, and the Second Seminole War finally ends. 1843, Associate Justice Smith Thompson would pass away, and the House would appoint Peter Vivian Daniel to replace him. 1844, Associate Justice Henry Baldwin would pass away, and the House would replace him with Levi Woodbury. There would also be the Great Flood of 1844. But the 1844 vice presidential election, as we see Whig Senator Henry Clay defeat Democrat Vice President Robert Rentel Jr. 159 to 116 to become the 11th Vice President. 1845, President Andrew I passes away, but also Associate Justice Joseph Story passes away. Now remember, every member of the Supreme Court needs to be, available, needs to be filled. Every seat in the Supreme Court needs to be filled before a new president can be named. In the meantime, Henry Clay is acting president until a new one is named. But the House appoints Robert Cooper Grier to the Supreme Court, and they select Michigan Senator Lewis Cass to be the 4th President of the United States. He will become the 4th President selected by the Supreme Court. And President Lewis I would finish the annexation of Texas, which was started by President Andrew I. And there's also the Great New York City Fire of 1845. In 1846, due to the annexation of Texas, the Mexican-American War would begin, and the Oregon Treaty is signed. 1847, the Treaty of Cahuenga, I'm probably mispronouncing that, is signed, and the 12th Amendment is passed, which is the end of the death penalty. Lewis Cass a staunch supporter of ending the death penalty. He would sign this. He would sign the 12th Amendment into law, which would signify the end of the death penalty. 1848, the California Gold Rush would begin. The Mexican-American War would end. Sorry about that. Also, the 1848 vice presidential election, Whig Vice President Henry Clay would defeat Democrat Congressman William Butler, 196 and 94, to win re-election. 1849, President Louis I would establish the Department of the Interior. And in 1850, President Louis I would sign the Compromise of 1850, which would set up the Civil War down the road. Here's the current Supreme Court: Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, Associate Justice John McKinley, Associate Justice John Moore Wayne, Associate Justice Robert Cooper Grier, Associate Justice Levi Woodbury, Associate Justice John Cranton, Associate Justice James Dandridge Halliburton, Associate Justice Peter Vivian Daniel, and Associate Justice John McClain. It is an 8-1 liberal court. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Catholic One saying, peace.